Moondog here. I'm the creator of Operation Bad Blood, sponsored by evic.com and their official East Coast player appreciation event, and also the largest annual charity airsoft event on the East Coast, raising money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So, on this video, we're going to be covering the rules in the rule book because, you know, for whatever reason, a lot of players don't like to read through a rule book. I get it. I know there's a lot of visual and auditory learners out there, so that's the reason why I've created this video. I've also created another video going over the process of getting a ticket for the event and what you can expect and what you should bring with you and how to plan for the event. That's in a separate video. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And go check out my other video on the channel. I'll include a link in the video description. But for that kind of information, go check out that other video. In this video, we're going just to cover the rules or give a good overview of the rules and the objectives for this game. Because this game is a little bit different. This is a large game. We have 1,000 tickets available for this game, and the game sells out every year. And this is a MilSim Light event designed to get you familiar with what a MilSim type game is, MilSim rule sets. It is not a serious hardcore MilSim game like Line Claws or American MilSim or MilSim West. This game is an intro to MilSim, a MilSim light game designed to allow novice players to get into a large organized airsoft event, and we've relaxed some of the hardcore MilSim rules, like we do allow for high cap magazines. So we're going to go over that as well as other rules in this particular video. So to do that, what you need to do is go to the evic.com website, and that is the only place you can get tickets for this game. So assuming that you've already gotten your tickets and everything, and I've covered that in the other videos I mentioned, what you want to do is scroll down past where you select which faction tickets you want to buy. There are 4 buttons, and these are important. You'll need to download each of these particular links. The first one is the player packet. That's the rules for the game. The second one is a high-res field map, and the next one is the event checklist. That is a checklist of gear that evic put together that they recommend for all of their organized events. And there's the waiver for the field. This is going to be again held at EMR Event Park in northeastern Pennsylvania, just north of Scranton. So you will need a filled out waiver to sign up and get your wristband to play the game. Now, the field map and the waiver are also in the player packet, but there is in the player packet, there's a low-res version of the map. I highly recommend you click on the field map to get a high-res version. You can see here. And the field is very large. We're talking like 10 football fields large, and with varying elevations and terrain. It is an awesome woods field. We will be using all of it at the same time. All right, so let's assume that you have downloaded your player packet. It'll be a PDF. It'll be like this. First thing off, the first page is a low-res map. Second and third pages, you'll want to print out all of those 3, or the high-res map. But the first the quick reference page 1 and 2, you'll want to have a printed copy, hard copy of that, and bring it with your gear, because these are good reference sheets for information that you'll probably need at some point during the day. For example, it lists all the radio frequencies that you are allowed to be on, and here's the thing about the radios: minimal use. Especially for you new players out there, if you've never used a radio before, watch some YouTube videos on how to properly use a radio. One of the key things you want to do with your radio is make sure that the Vox, or voice activation or sound activation, is turned off. Read your manuals, figure out how to turn that off, because if otherwise it will automatically turn on and broadcast out any noise it hears, and that includes you, not just you yelling through your speaker or the speaker on the radio, but it also anytime you fire your AEG, it will record that, and you will jam up your communications really quickly for your faction. Also, you must use only the channels prescribed for your faction. There are 1,000 players on the field, and from a management standpoint, from a safety standpoint, we really need you to stay on your channel. Don't be hopping around and goofing off and jamming other people's channels. All right, quick reference sheet 2 covers a lot of things you can and cannot bring to the game. Take a very close look at the velocity requirements for your rifles. In this game, all rifles except for bolt action rifles will be classified as a general purpose rifle. So whether you have some MOSFET semi-only programmed semi-automatic rifle, it will be classed as a rifle, and you have to comply with the same velocity limits as an AEG. The only high-powered rifles that we will allow for a sniper is a bolt action rifle, so just be aware of that. The limits this year are 1.85 joules measured with the staff's 0.32 gram BBs. Now, this is to comply with the restrictions that are more common with hardcore milsim games like American Milsim or Line Claws. So these are different from the previous years, slightly lower. Again, this is for safety and more importantly for compliance with those hardcore milsim games. We've had to comply with what is the industry standard. All right, so backstory to this game. This is set in Africa in a fictional Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's killed a third of the population, and it's running rampant throughout the country, and it's caused the collapse of their society, of their government. And now the country is embroiled in a civil war, Ebola outbreak. 4 different factions have risen up, and you can play in one of the 4 playable factions depending on which uniform you're going to be wearing. Now, during this Ebola outbreak, the U.S. CDC is wanting to develop an RNA vaccine or some sort of treatment for the Ebola outbreak. So they have put out a bounty for getting viral samples from different parts of the country. And that's the mechanics of the game. Your faction is going to try to get as many viral samples as it can. 4 of the viral samples are hidden in red igloo coolers on the field, and they are in the form of rubber stamps. Now, because these are in the fictional story of the game, these are actual Ebola samples. You don't want to die from Ebola. So each of the faction has 10 trained sample collectors, and they have sample collection cards. What you need to do is get one of your 10, or as many of your 10 sample collectors, safely to a cooler and have them stamp their card. The team that brings back the most sample cards and with the most completed sample cards will win the game. Now, as I mentioned, 4 of those samples are in coolers hidden in the field. The other 4 are on the person of the enemy faction CO. So your other objective in the game is to take out the enemy CO, who will bleed out for 5 minutes. And within those 5 minutes, you've got to get as many of your sample collectors to that dying enemy CO and have him stamp their collection cards. So it's a bit of a balance. You're playing against time, and you have factions and players and tribal defenders all over the place. There is no front line. The front line is all around you. This is a 360 game, and all this is happening in real time all over the field. So you're going to be joining one of the factions. Your faction army is going to be moving around the field. You are encouraged to stay with the main body of your forces. Now, we'll get into more of the mechanics of how that all works, but just want to get your mindset. This is the background story of the game. So let's move on. Okay, let's move on to page 9. Just and read through this in detail. I'm just going to go through this really quickly, just again so we can get the information to you. General emergency procedures. Don't say if you see an injury, if you get injured or see an injury of another player, do not yell out ceasefire. That is a staff-only command that's given that will shut down the entire game. And sometimes we've had to do that. In one year, there was a fire caused by some asshat bringing the wrong kind of smoke marker that was started in one of the structures, and we had to stop the game so that we could put that fire out. We've had occasions where players have gotten heat stroke or had some other injury where they've tumbled down and twisted an ankle, and we had to evacuate them with a quad, and in one case with some person who really had some severe heat injury. He had to be evacuated in an ambulance. So we've had to shut down the field, and we call it a ceasefire on the radio, and that word gets out to everybody, by word of mouth once they hear on, and that will shut down the entire game. And if you want to have a fun game that's nonstop, you don't want that to happen accidentally. So again, don't say ceasefire. If you are injured and you just need a pause in your general area, or you have some sort of stuff getting into your goggles or whatever, just call out blind man. And if you need first aid, call out for first aid, but do not use the word ceasefire. Got it? No ceasefire, just say blind man. All right. In general code of conduct, and I'll get into this in the general briefing, just remember, this is airsoft. It's a game of honor. You call your hits. This is a long ass game. You'll get a chance to respawn and come back often in this game. So just call your hits. It's just a couple of minutes out of the overall game and give you a chance to take a break. Just be mindful that in general rule, the golden rule: treat others as you would have them. Want them to treat you. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And my rule of thumb is don't be a douchebag. Just play, be a good sport. We're here to have fun. We're here to raise money for a charity. Just have fun, okay? So code of conduct can be as simple as that. Hit rules for this. This is a milsim-like game, so we're simplifying a lot of the hit rules. In hardcore milsim games, they get into much more minutia. But for this game, simply any hit on your body, your clothing, your gear, your gun counts as a hit. Let's just keep it simple like that. So I know some people will say, well, if they hit me in the backpack, that really wouldn't kill me. Just come on, just count it as a hit. Don't be wearing lots of gear that sticks out, and don't stick your fanny pack past the wall. That's just on you for being dumb like that, giving yourself away. So any hit on any part of your person, your body, including your gun, counts as a hit. You're dead. All right? So if you do start to get hit, rule number 1, actually get out of the line of fire. Don't just stand there and go, hit. I'm hit. No. Get out of the line of fire. If you don't like to get sprayed, then get out of the line of fire. Get down. Go prone. Get behind a tree. Whatever you need to do, get out of the line of fire. And the next thing you need to do is take out your red rag, because just yelling hit, that person probably can't hear you because of all the noise that's going on around them, because they're firing their gun too. And they just saw you disappear. So they're going to probably start shooting around the bushes around you. So what you want to do is once you're behind some cover, pull out your red rag and start waving it. Visually is how most of us will play. Well, everybody plays, really. It's not safe to not be visual. So the visual waving of your red rag is the signal that you've called your hit. All right? Simple as that. So always carry an extra red rag with you. And again, as soon as you start getting hit, get under cover. Get out of the line of fire. Dead time, killed in action. Okay, once you get hit, what I recommend you do is take a moment, gather your things, look around you, make sure you haven't dropped anything, especially keys or a phone. Just gather your stuff together. What I want you to do is take your red rag, tuck it into the band of your goggles. Tuck it onto your helmet. Don't just put it on top of your helmet, because it'll fall off more probably. Tuck it in so it doesn't fall off, and then head back to your contact your team leadership contact your embed, and find out where the triage is. And this is where this game differs from a lot of games. There is no medic rule in this game. There are no fixed respawn points. The respawn in this game is mobile. It moves around. There are 2 respawn points areas in this game. They're called the triage for your faction. They are in the form of a pool noodle that will be visible. That's your flag. What happens is, if you're dead, you will be wearing your red rag and tucked in. You will go to one of those pool noodles and you will wait there in a group. That is the triage. That is the respawn point. And that triage will be managed by your team, one of your team's embedded referees. That's what we call them, embeds. They are part of the game staff. They will be moving with your team. They will nominally function as generic players in your team, but they are game staff, and one of them will be managing each of your triage noodles. Now, they will not necessarily be holding it. Another dead player may be holding it, but they will direct it where to move, and you'll wait there until they'll count out 10 minutes, and they will announce that everybody in the triage, that means within touching distance of each other and touching distance of the noodle, will be respawned back into the game there on the field, wherever that particular pool noodle is at that time. So the pool noodle, the flag will be moving around this huge field in different locations. So it's incumbent upon you to always keep track of where the main forces of your army are. Stay with them, because this is an army. You're not special forces, rogue elements just going off on your own. You can, I suppose, if you want to do that, but you will have a hard time in this game. This game is different. The idea is that you are a seek and recover force, and so that you are moving en masse, or 2 smaller but big masses, and you will need to be able to find your noodle, your triage, to respawn. Simple as that. And there are 2 respawn points somewhere in the field. Your job is to keep track of at least one of them so that you can respawn quickly. All right. There are other rules for respawn for the staff team, the tribals. They will respawn in the field as well, but they will be, if you hear the words tribal respawn, that means that somewhere around you, dead tribal players are coming back into the game, and so you just need to be aware. And this is a game where you really need to keep your head on a swivel. There is no front line. The front line is 360 around your army group, because from any direction, an enemy faction may be coming. There will be tribals hidden everywhere. They are defending the samples. So this is a game where you really have to keep on your toes, and it's a much more realistic in terms of dropping down deep in the jungle and fighting with a company, an armed company. And so it is a non-stop, constant game from 11 until 4. So keep that in mind. All right, no spawn camping. Should be simple. If you see an enemy triage, if you can see their flag, their noodle, you're too close. Don't wait around there. Don't spawn camp their triage. Grenades. All right, so grenade use in airsoft is kind of problematic. I'm including the full text of the rules there. You can read them too as you need to, but here's the key things to remember. You've got a 15-foot zone of death wherever that grenade goes off. That's something to be aware of. If you're going to be tossing a grenade, yell frag out, especially if you're going to be tossing it into a structure, or if you are trying to get somebody out of a structure and you're tossing a grenade in, just out of safety and courtesy, because you don't want to be tossing the grenade just at the same time that person is peeking out and him getting hit in the face. And that's not fun. So you want to yell frag out, toss the grenade, and anybody within that 15-foot radius will be automatically dead. So that's just something to be aware of. Again, grenades are problematic, and if possible, you want to have an embed around you when you're doing it, just so that they can help officiate for this. Just letting you know. All right, claymores and mines, they are possible on the field. Especially, they may be left. They may be set up by the tribals to take out anybody trying to get at a cooler sample. So just be aware of that. They will be shooting a shower of BBs. If one of those hits you, you're dead. And as an addendum to that, the tribals are encouraged to booby trap those samples. So just so you know. There are castles or forts on the field, as well as smaller or larger structures, towers. You are not allowed to fire full auto if you're in a structure. And that includes firing out of them. So go to semi only. And if it's a 2-level, there is a 2-level fort out there. You are not allowed to shoot directly up at somebody or directly down at somebody, because just the risk of it going through the foam into their goggles is too high. So don't do that. And no smoke grenades at all inside of structures. Okay. Just a quick thing about the chrono. I haven't said it a number of times. When you go to the chrono station, bring your own BBs. Bring your mags full of BBs is what I mean to say. The only allowed chrono BBs will be our own staff chrono BBs, but a lot of magazines, high cap magazines, will not function unless the entire magazine is nearly full. So just be aware of that. I go into a little more rules about eye and ear protection, but I think I've already talked about that. And finally, intoxicants. Beer is fine after the game, whatever intoxicant or inhaled whatnot, but not during the game, not before the game. It will not be allowed. If any player is found with intoxicants on the field doesn't allow it, you will be ejected. So just be aware of that. I don't know why I have to mention that, but yeah, just don't bring it to the field. Anyway, hopefully this helps you. I know this is a long video, but hopefully this covers everything that you need to know about the rules for this game. Just to recap, that this game you'll respawn at the mobile triages, not at your starting point. You will need to respawn only at the triages. Once you get hit, get out of the line of fire, wave that red rag, go find your triage. And any hit on your person, that includes your gear and your gun, that counts as a hit. So there you go. You will enjoy this game as long as everybody observes the rules and everybody keeps hydrated, because no matter how fun the game is, you will have a bad day if you come down with heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So keep hydrated. It's probably going to be a very hot day, but again, this is you're supposed to be in Africa, so hey, Africa hot. All right. So thank you for your interest in this game. Thank you for buying tickets and for supporting the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And we'll see you on the field. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, post on our Facebook page, and we'll get those questions answered. And you can also post your questions in your faction Facebook pages. Links to those, again, are in the player packet. Download your player packet, use it. It's going to be invaluable to you. Thanks again. Moondog, out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.